Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon. January 22nd,
Just check we are actually broadcasting.
2026. Yeah, we're broadcasting.
Okay.
Yeah. But normally I put up the little starting soon screen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I forgot to do that today because we were talking about the market. So, hey, welcome to the Gravity Weekly live stream. That was a rough start, but that's okay. This is the live stream we do with the Rogue Traders and Gravity every week, and we talk about Bitcoin primarily and some other crypto sometimes, and what our thoughts are, what we're doing, how we're trading it, and what our thoughts are and where the price is going to go to maybe help you guys out. All right, so we've had, I'd say, a little bit of drama. If you've been a long time Bitcoin or crypto trader, it's no drama at all. But compared to the last, month or two, it's a little bit dramatic.
Yeah.
Last week we had a big run up, and we'll get to the charts in a second. And the beginning of this week, we had a big sell-off, a big crap in the markets, not only Bitcoin, but the traditional markets, with all the news with Greenland and NATO and all that nonsense. But of course, it was just smoke and mirrors as usual. Mm-hmm. And we've rallied a little bit off that bottom. So let's get into it. Let me share the screen over here. And you should see this. So this is their Gravity account. If you don't have a Gravity account, head over to grvt.io and sign up. You're going to hear us talk a lot about options. We always do, and we use options to help us guide us, not only to trade options, but we also use options or options information to help guide us on our futures trade. I realize Gravity does not have options. Yes, they're working on it, so hopefully that'll get launched soon. But until then, we're just going to talk about how we're using options to guide our decisions. Yeah. All right, that's enough waffling for now. Let's get started. So here you can see last week we did the broadcast on the 15th where I drew these arrows, and very prophetic of me. I said we're going to either go up or down. I said I thought we'll have a better chance of going down. Why? Because we're in a range. Mm-hmm. The range is kind of low to mid 90s to high 80s. And until that range breaks, I'm just going to buy all the dips and sell all the moves up. That's all I'm going to do. If we break out to the upside, we break to the downside, well, everything changes, and we'll take a loss if we have a position, and we'll change our strategy. Because let's just squeak out to a longer term time frame. Let's look at the 4-hour chart here, and look, this is going back to November. We did have that crazy November down to 82 or something, scared the pants off everybody, straight back up to 93. And since then, we've just stayed in this range. It started to look like we're trending up, and it's big move down. So, is this a great buy opportunity? Well, if you're trading the trend, yeah, or trading the range, yeah, it is a great buying opportunity. For some reason, we had some more. You know what? We did have an order down here which got filled.
Okay.
So this is our average price right here, because I bought a little bit here, maybe a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, something like that. But I thought I had some more orders down here. I don't know if I canceled that or whatever. But if we dip back down here, I will keep buying. The danger, of course, is this is the bottom of the range. We can say down here, right? And if this breaks and we go down, Bitcoin could be in some real trouble. We could be headed for close to 80,000 and below. Yeah. Who knows? But Bitcoin's one of those things where 1 week it'll scare everyone. Everybody thinks it's going to zero. The next week it'll be up here and everybody thinks it's going to 150.
Yeah.
So,
I think last week I said that there's two things. One was I felt that 88 was the sort of support bottom.
Yes, you did.
Which seems to be about right. And also the other concern I have is if you zoom right out, you get this massive head and shoulders forming. Where if we break the range, then that could easily become, if you go further. Oh, yeah, okay. So you've got this, so the first shoulder is actually as gravity started.
Yeah.
Then you've got the head.
So this is the shoulder here, this is the head, and this is the shoulder on the longer term is what you're talking about.
So if we do break down below sort of 85,432, then actually that could be a horrible scenario.
It could be
go down to like 70 or 50 or something.
Okay, it could happen. Yesterday on this. The day before yesterday was a big red day in the traditional markets as well as Bitcoin. We had this big move down. Last night they came out and they made a deal, so we had a bit of a rally. Not a lot, a couple $1,000. You know, that's not bad.
That's just because for viewers who perhaps aren't as connected to the markets as we are. So essentially, for about 6 hours, it looked as if the EU and America were starting to talk about going to war with each other over some ice pack in Greenland.
Which of course is absurd. It's just the media shaking things up.
And so the stocks went into risk off mode, and gold and silver shot up. Everything else dropped.
They did. Yeah. Here's the gold chart. Here's the silver chart. Right. You know, if you've got gold and silver,
doing well. Yeah.
You're doing well. Yeah.
And then of course the Trump part of the deal thing came out. Oh, I didn't mean that. Sorry. And Denmark says okay, you can have some bits of Greenland, whatever. And, I mean, not to keep, just to use. And so everything's back to normal now.
Yeah, everything's back to normal. So the question is I can see pre-market here. The U.S. markets are up.
Okay.
And they're kind of trending up. Whether it's going to pull Bitcoin up or not, we'll see. But I'm sort of counting on it. You can see that I have. So I do have an order to sell somewhere up here, but for some reason when I log in on this computer, I'm logged in, but it's not showing that. Okay. So I'm not sure what's going on, but it doesn't matter. If it moves up here, I'll be selling what I have all the way up here. Right now we're slightly underwater. We're down $160, $170 on it. But I'm sure there's some orders down here as well. The danger, of course, when you trade that range is if you absorb it all. Let's just say it comes down here and I buy a couple more times. Well, my average price might be, 88 or something. Well, if it breaks 85, that's going to be a hit.
Yeah.
And you have to make that decision. Well, is it just a wick through? Is it a head fake, or is it really going to go down? That's the nice thing about when you have options, because you can hedge that off a little bit or take some of that risk off, if not all of it.
Well, the interesting thing is in my options book, I think I'm short 88,000 puts and 95,000 calls. And that's just naturally occurred as the books evolve, but actually those are around the levels that we think are the sort of range levels.
Yeah. So here we are. Basically, before we get crazy into the liquidation levels and stuff, I'm just going to stick to my guns. There's no reason for me to think that anything's going to change.
Yeah.
We have, you're always going to see tweets and you're always going to see news articles about, crypto going to the moon and crypto going to zero. And this week has been no exception. I've seen lots of articles by some smart people saying, just wait, Bitcoin's going to go, because as soon as this happens or that happens, and they're talking about legislation, they're talking about currency, they're talking about, treasury funds and things like that.
Yeah.
And we've seen that this Trump administration, they will pump stocks, they'll pump Bitcoin, they'll dump these things. So you can never be too sure. So what I'm going to do is I will continue to accumulate if it comes down here and sell as it goes up. If it just goes sideways for a while, I'll just wait for it to go up. If it comes up here, I'll sell my position, but I probably won't short it. I might short a small amount looking for it to come back. I'm only playing the long side mostly of Bitcoin versus just the long and the short side in terms of futures trading. With options, that's a little bit different.
It's interesting. In our systematic momentum strategy, in our fund at the moment, our momentum indicator is 25% long. So
okay.
So it's kind of tentatively long.
It's starting to think, we're getting better.
Yeah.
All right, why don't we go ahead? We'll take a look at the liquidation heat map. Now, this data comes from Binance. It just shows you where there's a lot of liquidity waiting to be taken, and we see this is a 24-hour chart. Well, yesterday we had a plunge. It took out a bunch of liquidity, almost right to the levels you're talking about, because we were trading it live at the time. We were trading other stuff as well. And right now we've got a bit of liquidity here, around 89,000, so $1,000 lower, and up at 91, $1,000 higher. Not a big surprise, but let's just look a little further in the future. We'll go 3 days. Most of the liquidities is up above. It's not a ton. Here you can see it's 92, 93 million. Let's go at a week.
Yeah.
Look at that. Not much on the bottom. Up here, 93, up at 96. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So 1 week, what is it, 26? That's getting close to the end of the month. The monthly expires are the bigger ones.
Yeah.
We can look at 1 month out, for example, just to see.
Yeah, downside.
And we've got this this kind of at the bottom side at 86. I don't know why this chart doesn't go down much lower.
Yeah.
It's funny. It goes up to 110,000 here.
It seems to change every time
Yeah. So
there's a whole bunch of liquidation levels below this, all the way down to like 70k. Because people have been long all year, you know.
Sure, and every time there's a dip, they're selling puts,
yeah.
And that's something to mention. Yesterday when we were trading this, when it was coming down here in this area, I was selling puts. I was selling put spreads, kind of 80, 75, 82, 80, those types of things, assuming that this range is going to hold.
And actually, one thing I was short 92,000 puts at one point, and I rolled those down to 90, and then sold a call spread to pay for them. But I was very careful not to sell that call spread too much below 95k because I was just terrified of the bounce. You know.
Now we've just confused all our non-options traders.
They'll pick it up.
Yeah. You're fine. All right, let's take a look at the max pain. Now this has got to do with options expiries. We can see here the 26th, which is the end of the month. So just a couple of tomorrow.
That's the 30th.
No, that's the 30th. That's the 30th.
That's next week. Tomorrow.
26/01/30. Yes, end of the month. Yes, so next week.
Yeah.
Max pain when you hover over here, 90,000. So
right where we are. Okay.
So if it expires here, that's going to give option holders the maximum amount of pain. If we look at the next month out, which is February, there's hardly anything there, and there's no point in looking way out yet.
That's end of Feb there.
Did I get? Oh, this is the 6th.
The
6th of Feb, 13th of Feb, 27th of Feb. But it's still not a lot of open interest.
No, because they tend to trade the front month and quarterlies.
Yeah. And here's the quarterly is March over here. So look, like 90, 95. This is March. February is 90, and next week is 90. So we're kind of.
You can kind of just can't probably expect to drift up, right?
Yeah, this isn't giving us a lot of data to work with. Like I'm not going to look at this and go, oh my gosh, this is going to totally affect how I'm going to trade my Bitcoin futures. I
think at the moment there's a kind of a two-sided battle going on. There's the original whales who are all selling half their stashes. I think I mention this every week. They all want to live now like billionaires rather than just be billionaires. On paper, they want actual money, so they're all selling their bitcoins. And of course, the ETFs and Michael Saylor are buying those bitcoins. And the question is, who's got the most firepower? Does the market run out of money to buy this bitcoin, or do the whales end up selling so much that they crush the price? And I think that's all these little wicks up and down we're seeing. These little Bart Simpsons we're seeing a part of that. So and I think I mentioned last week that I felt that I don't know whether I mentioned it on air, but I mentioned it in our private conversations, that the rally up in Bitcoin price last week
this year
coincided with the preparation, with the rhetoric around invading or regime change in Iran.
Yes.
I felt that it was likely that just in case, people in Iran were taking the last of their dollars and buying Bitcoin with them. Yeah. And interestingly, I've just read yesterday that Iran have now bought $500 million, was it $500 billion, of USDC or T, because they can't spend their dollars because they're sanctioned. So they've converted their dollars to USDT dollars so that they can spend them without being sanctioned.
Interesting.
And of course, that you have to wonder how much of that is going to find its way into Bitcoin as well.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the charts is that whether you're looking at Bitcoin or the S&P or whatever you're looking at, it's like every week it's like, oh yeah, this is the Iran week. Oh yeah, this is it's like, oh my gosh,
this is the Donald Trump's having a brain fart week.
It's just so much news pushing the market around, and it's.
But it's pushing the market around within this very tight band of sentiment of price. Which is kind of nice for trading. I mean, you've got to just somehow predict the news, but you can predict the news because if it's been a string of good news, there's some bad news coming, and vice versa, right? So,
and that's why the range works so good. It gets to the top of the range, we'll expect it to come down the bottom. Oh my gosh, the world's going to end. No, it's not. It goes back up. So why don't we take a look at the immersive finance tools and so
this is interesting. So yesterday, the number here I watch for real sentiment is Hang on.
Over
there.
Yep.
That one. This is the 10 delta risk reversals. This is the difference between... Oh.
No, it's okay.
Oh, Norton. Okay. He was a hero. This is the difference between the volatility, implied volatility of the calls versus the puts at 10 delta. 10 delta is fairly far out of the money. So, and these volatility numbers sort of don't just incorporate the observed volatility of the market, but they also incorporate the perceived risk of a jump in price, up or down. And what the market is saying here is that fairly firmly that the puts are priced higher than the calls, which means that the downside risk is perceived to be higher than the upside risk. However, that was bigger yesterday. That was more than minus 10 yesterday. Okay. And so this is actually coming down. So that's kind of, you can imagine sentiment's easing. People are still going to be cautious because it's only been a day, and if they've bought puts to protect their book, they're not going to just sell them today. They're going to wait. But so sentiment is bearish, but getting less bearish. Yeah. And then the 25 delta, this is like where the meat of the that 10 delta is the wings and the tail risk. 25 delta is the sort of the general sentiment, and this isn't too far from normal, to be honest. I mean,
what was it yesterday?
5. I mean,
5%.
Yeah. And I think we would normally expect to see maybe -2, -3 maybe. So
under normal conditions, when it's sort of balanced, neutral outlook.
Yeah, a year ago we'd have always expected the 25 delta risk reversals to be positive 3 months out and above, maybe even a month out and above. So people always assumed that the future was going to be bright for Bitcoin, but the near-term sentiment was going to be less bright. We flipped that regime last year, so that now the market's permanently bearish on Bitcoin, which is probably an indication that you could probably buy the market or sell puts or buy calls, and you'd probably get away with it. Because when sentiment's been long-term bearish, it's normally a signal for
and we can see the funding rate is positive right now.
I mean, it's
slightly positive. So
this will be because people have been selling calls and buying puts, and then they're going to have to hedge that with futures, and so they're buying the futures and causing the perps to rise. Yeah.
And if we look on the chart, the blue line should be the Bitcoin price, right?
Yeah.
And then the other ones are the
actual implied volatility. So you see that the implied volatility increased yesterday. This is the 1 week, 2 week, and 3 and 1 month. As the market was dropping, as the whole war drums were beating,
which is normal, completely normal. Yeah.
And then suddenly a massive drop, sudden drop off into essentially what are normal vols.
Yeah, it's like, okay, deal's done, everything's okay with NATO. Yeah. Oh, back to normal.
Yeah, and 37% implied volatility is kind of seems to be about the sort of baseline of normal business these days.
Yeah, lately, because we do sell volatility in Bitcoin, and once it gets up, 40, 50, 60, we start to look to sell it more aggressively, because that 30s does seem to be the baseline lately. A couple of years ago, we were 80, 90, 100 sometimes, right?
Back in 2021 and 2, if you were selling 50 vol, you were an idiot.
It's too low.
Buying it, you think it was cheap.
but we knew that was going to change eventually. It was going to stay so volatile forever. Although I'm sure it's still going to have its days where it
I think
goes crazy.
When we get to the stage where, if we get to the stage where the demand for ETFs, ETF buying exceeds the supply of Bitcoin, then you'll see a sudden rise in vol as people start refusing to sell their calls. So you'll see, and then you'll see the price take off. And that's one endgame scenario where Bitcoin price goes parabolic. Another endgame scenario is everyone loses interest and starts buying gold instead, and Bitcoin goes to zero. But I suspect the parabolic story will happen, but just not for some years yet.
Yep. Okay, so I drew a little arrow on there because this is what I'm doing. Today I'm not going to say it's either going to go up or down.
Oh, you're definitely going up.
That's what I'm thinking. I think we're gonna grind our way back up, and I'm going to sell our position here.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Shane says you can buy with impunity.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a zero loss situation.
That's right. Yeah. Borrow all the money you can from a loan shark. I'm sure it'll be fine. Of course, there is a danger if it goes down. Anything could happen. News could happen. Whatever. That'll be a more complicated situation because if we start to get down to the mid 80s. That's that real support level. I'm going to look for it to hold. And you're going to have diamond hands if it holds, because I'll be adding to it, and I'll end up having a big position. Maybe my average price will be, maybe 87 or 8, whatever. But if it does break, we'll have to make that decision. Do we take the loss and flip short, or just take the loss and wait, or do we wait and see if it scares people and comes back up?
I think when the time comes, it'll be an easy decision to make, as long as we psychopathically remove ourselves from the emotions of it.
Yeah. And in this account, I don't like to take big drawdowns at all. In other accounts, I don't mind letting it ride a bit more. This one, I want to be a bit more careful. So I will likely take it out with a loss. I'll try and keep the loss as small as I can, and I'll wait. Because when you trade those breakouts, they can be great. They can be fantastic when they play out. But given what Bitcoin's done the last couple of months, I don't know. It'll depend. Is there a news catalyst? What's going on in the world that's causing this? Yeah. Those will all affect that decision. So that's what I'm looking for.
We also last week discussed Pax Gold on the platform.
We did. No, we didn't. No, we were waiting for a pullback. Remember?
Yeah. Well, it didn't happen.
No, it just goes up and up and up.
Actually, there has been a little pullback yesterday. So this was on the relief rally after the Denmark thing. Yeah. That's. I'll be honest with you, and this is just my personal heartfelt position. I think that's your last chance to get in before it goes ballistic. Because and remember, people thought I was crazy when I was calling for $5,000 gold 2 years ago, and now we're only $150 away. Yeah. And I'm telling you, gold's going to 20,000.
That $5,000 when it gets up, that's going to be a big event. Everybody's going to be talking about. Yeah, it'll.
And it'll blast through.
We'll see. Yeah.
So I do think we should start feeding in a little bit of our book into Pax Gold.
Oh, you do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with buying gold. I just want to wait I just want a nice, healthy pullback that we feel like, you know what, could go lower, but I'm okay with this price.
There are queues outside gold shops across Asia.
Yeah. Well, even in North America, you see Costco and different places limiting the amount of silver now as well. Yeah. Of precious metals that they're selling.
The U.S. Mint paused.
But this stuff can end quickly.
That's true. I mean, okay, but how does it end? What, suddenly we enter a golden age and inflation stops and all the cash supply disappears? I mean, I don't think so, right? I mean, we're in Weimar Republic conditions across the entire world. Everyone's just printing money.
That's true, and it's not going to end. We know they're not going to stop printing money because governments, that's like their only tool, which is the tool of idiots, but that's what always comes down to in the end.
Governments never vote to make themselves smaller or less powerful.
Never. And, they only collapse. Right. That's it.
And when you print money, you make all the savers less powerful. So the normal people become less powerful, the government becomes more powerful, and that's just the natural order of things. Right? Yeah. So
unless they do gold confiscation and things like that, which governments have done in the past, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I guess it's always a risk. I don't think it's being talked about. I don't think it's in the current administration's best interest. I don't think they would do it. But who comes in next? In the United States, Democrats. Well, they're nuts. They're literally nuts. They could do anything. Right. I know a lot of people think Donald's a bit nuts, and maybe he is a bit in some ways, but I think there's method behind his madness too. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. If conditions continue as they currently are, I agree with you. Gold will just keep inflating because it just has to.
Yeah, it has to. Because in the end, it's the only money.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
But how is it going to benefit our fund here on Gravity?
If we buy Pax Gold and Pax
gold
the equity goes up 4x, we win, right?
Yeah, but I just don't think I just after big parabolic moves, if you get expecting more parabolic moves,
that's because you're thinking about it in terms of a stock. But it's not a stock. It's you're measuring money inflation. Yeah.
We could say the same thing about Bitcoin when it went to $5,000. People were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm selling it all. I'm rich. I bought it for $20."
Yeah.
And then when it went to 20,000 and then 50,000, and oh my God, well, it can't possibly go higher from here. And now it did have a massive pullback. Remember the first time it hit 60,000 or something? It went down to 20.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was horrible.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Yeah.
What do you do, right? There's no guarantees with trading. There's no guarantees. But all we can do is take the clues from the market and macro and micro conditions and just do our best to anticipate what's going to happen. So right now, to reiterate, we're in a range. We're still stuck in that range. I'm going to assume we're going to stay in the range until the range breaks. So I'm buying the bottom of the range. Now, clearly I've bought up at the upper end of the mid, and I was okay. I wasn't buying heavily, but I'll buy more as it comes down. My average price is not going to be at the very bottom. If you're trying to pick bottoms and tops, you're good luck. You're not going to get filled too often. Sometimes you get it right, and that's great. But for the most part, you just kind of go with the flow, go with the ebb, and eventually, it's going to break out one way or the other eventually. But let's just.
I think if you start seeing some momentum, maybe we could get behind it and steal a couple of $1,000 steps out of it, maybe.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can sell some maybe around 93. If I can sell some more at 95-ish up in that area, I think I'd be pretty happy with that trade. And if I got flat at that point, that's fine. Again, this is a small account, so we can't swing a big stick here, but we'll just steadily try and chip away at it. All right, I think that's it for today. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're good. A lot's happened this week, but the results of it is that nothing's happened really.
We closed the gap on the futures markets.
What else happened? The Japanese bond market. That was
the 6 standard deviation move, right?
That was another thing that contributed to that drop, wasn't it?
Japan. We forgot about that.
Yes. That's interesting, right? So the Japanese carry trade is definitely off for good, interesting to see what the bond market thinks of all this. The question in my mind is, if you wanted to lend your money to the government now, and by whichever government, let's say US government or Japanese government, and they're offering you 3.75%. I mean, you'd have to be nuts, right, to lend them that money, because you can get a better yield almost anywhere else doing anything else. So the only people who are buying government bonds are people who kind of have to, like pension funds and whatnot. And that feels to me like governments are not going to have the support of private money if they get to need it. And so that feels to me as if while the US government are trying to force rates down, or the Trump administration is trying to force rates down, the bond market's probably not going to go along with that, because no one's going to say, sure, we'll just take 1% interest on your stupid American dollars that are worthless in 5 years. So so I think that's going to be something to watch. I think we need to keep our eye on the bond market and be ready for a sudden reflexive repricing of bonds downwards, which will then reveal how cracked and broken the financial system is. That then you might get your sell-off in gold that you want to, which we could capitalise on. So that's the only thing I don't have any strong thoughts about it yet, but that's the way I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it seems every time you formulate an opinion of what's going to happen, either in Bitcoin or the traditional markets, some sort of monkey wrench or some sort of curveball is thrown at you that just negates what you were thinking, and you get these surprises too. The Japanese, I don't suppose Japan was a big surprise. I think some people saw it coming, but that's some big trouble there. I don't think people realize how important that is, and how important the carry trade was for decades.
I've read traders who, macro traders, who've said things like, actually the interplay between the Federal Reserve and the Bank of Japan is actually what keeps oil prices low, in order to keep politicians elected in the US. And the carry trade has been very much part of that. And Japan, being a vassal state of the US since World War II, has sort of borne the brunt of currency devaluation for the benefit of the empire, and that seems to be breaking at the moment. And because we've broken out of that traditional range, who knows what the real price is of Japanese debt, and therefore of debt everywhere. So interesting.
All right. So for those people just picking up the odd trade here and there, hey, I'm long here. I'm okay with it looking at him up here. If you want to wait till maybe it comes down lower in the range, maybe you'll get that trade, maybe you won't. The danger is, of course, if it breaks through the mid-80s, we could have some problems. It could end up being a great place to pick it up, too. Maybe we'll go down to 82 and straight back up to 92 like we did last time. Who knows? But again, buying the bottom of the range, selling the top, and that's the strategy for now until conditions change. All right, that's it for today. We'll catch everyone next week. Have a good one.